Hello and welcome back to Rams Talk Podcast. Sorry, we're a couple of minutes late. My computer decided it didn't want to do anything today. But we're here today after a massive win against Stevenage. It probably wasn't a classic. In fact, there's probably a lot of bits that I don't even remember because I was half asleep. But we got the 3 points. That's what matters. And that's what the lads are going to be talking all about today. So joining me tonight, first off, Callum Boocock. How are you, Cal?
All good, thank you, mate. All the better that your Wi-Fi is now working.
Yeah, no, I was a bit scared. It's quite hard to go live when your Wi-Fi doesn't work. We've also got Jamie Page. How are you, pal?
Yeah, I'm good. Wi-Fi issues are contagious, though, so I'm expecting one of us three to drop out any minute as well. So we'll have to see what happens. But yeah, 1-0 Sibley goal, earned me 65 quid. I can predict the future.
Wow, think how many more bets you can put on after that, Jamie. You'll be a happy man. And last but certainly not least, we've got Vic Singh. How are you, Vic?
I'm all good. Buzzing after the 3 points. Let's get straight into it.
Good man, good man. And as you say, let's get straight into it. And I mean, we should probably start off with the goal. Because it was probably the best bit of the game overall. It wasn't a game that was filled with quality, but when we needed it most, one of our best players turned up, and that was Nathaniel Mendez-Lang. Puts the ball across to Louis Sibley, who took his goal really, really well. It was an incisive finish. Cal, what do you reckon? What a finish from Louis Sibley.
Mate, it created limbs for the first time. It created a scene that I haven't seen for a long time, really. So, no, it was a game where it felt really frustrating. A large spell was kind of 50-50. Neither team wanted to grab the name by the scruff of the neck. And then by the 60th minute, when Warren made the changes, they all made an impact. I thought Sibley was great, and I thought the goal itself was a really well-worked goal. A great ball out from the centre of the park. Mendez-Lang, who does what he does, drives at the box, sticks it in, and a really, really tough finish. I think everyone kind of thinks that a tap in like that 6 yards out is probably a little bit hard, but the way it came in at him, Mendez-Lang didn't give him any favours, and it was a great finish. Turned it in. He's lived up to that great finisher in training that Warren keeps telling him about.
Well, that's it. And you talk about the finish there, Jamie. He had to react really, really quickly, didn't he? And that's something only a natural finisher can do. He redirected the ball, just used the power from Mendez-Lang's pass to direct it into the bottom corner. I mean, Owen Bradley said on commentary it was his first goal at home in 2 years, which I didn't realise it's been that long. How big will it be, not just for Derby, but for Louis Sibley, that hit the back of the net?
Oh, massive. And I don't know why I thought that. I just saw him come on and I thought, if there's a match winner, if there's a bit of quality you need in this situation, it's Louis Sibley. And I was surprised to hear that. I thought maybe he scored last season. I thought maybe he scored this season, in all fairness. But yeah, I mean, Mendez-Lang, brilliant. He didn't do much throughout the 90 minutes, but that bit of class, the ball from Corey Smith was sensational as well. And it was just our one bit of play. And Louis Sibley's got that intelligence just to know that if he puts it where the goal is, it's already got the pace to probably deceive the goalkeeper. And yeah, I mean, the scenes, like Callum said, in the home end was fantastic. So yeah, we rode our luck at times. It was probably destined for a draw, but it doesn't half feel sweet when you nick it at the last minute.
Absolutely. And we've had a couple of moments like that this season, haven't we, with last minute goals. And it really brings, I guess, the whole fan base to life. I mean, the scenes on social media have been great. You know, if we hadn't have scored that goal, can you imagine how negative it would have been? But because we scored the goal, because we got it over the line, it's, made things 10 times better. And Vic, I guess a question on that. So, I mean, yesterday, the atmosphere in about the 55th, 56th minute, all of a sudden started to pick up. It had been silent all game because the game, to be honest, had been pretty poor. There wasn't a lot of excitement, but the fan base rallied, the whole ground sung. And we've been calling for it all season, haven't we? That improvement in the atmosphere. We really saw the impact that it can make.
Yeah, definitely. I think the proof's in the pudding. And the boys realised that we were shouting from the stand, so we were doing our bit. So the boys gave that extra 10%. Probably helped with the change in 60 minutes as well, and the formation change. But that little bit extra support just spurs the lads on to go on and do more. And just give that extra 10%. And in the end, that's what proved to be the final point when we got the goal and got the 3 points. So it was a good improvement yesterday in the home atmosphere. Hopefully that can continue, because I think the lads are going to need it. I think we've got to look at every sort of game now as a cup final. So if we can give a cup final atmosphere to the remaining home and away games that we've got, just get us over the line for promotion, then it'll all be worth it in the end.
We always lose cup finals, Vic. So I really, really hope that we don't see him in that way. But what we do need to talk about, and I think it's a really important talking point, is obviously the loss of James Collins. I spoke about it like he died then. He hasn't died, but in terms of his Derby career, that might be it. Obviously picking up knee ligament damage, took the ligament off the bone, which doesn't sound very nice. It's exactly what you don't want. Your top scorer out, whatever your opinion of him, he's certainly had a big impact this season. And in that first half, we saw, didn't we, Callum, that we tried to play that 3 up top. We didn't really have a focal point. We were trying to play either Mendes Lang or Barkhuizen as the number 9. It didn't really work. And we ended up with 2 midfielders that ended up, I wouldn't say they looked lost, but they looked stretched. We didn't have enough in the middle. It ended up making us look unbalanced. And we really suffered without Collins, didn't we?
Yeah, it was that link-up play, which we can see Paul Warne likes. He likes his striker to be able to just take it in, have his back to goal, lay it off to one of the centre mids, and then gets it out wide. But I think the 3 just tried to play like a fluid 3. They kind of interchange quite frequently, and it just didn't seem like they really practiced it during the week. I think it was kind of obviously a last minute thing they've had to try and put together, and it looked it, and it just didn't quite click. And as you say, Max Bird and Adams in the middle, just bless them, just kind of were chasing shadows, just trying to pick up loose balls and try and get it out wide. So no, it's a massive loss. As you say, everyone's kind of been on Collins' back throughout the season. He's not been one of them that you kind of, although the numbers say he's done really well, that you kind of think he's a talisman. But he's been a great asset this season, much, much better than last season. And it's a shame it's kind of gone this way. Hopefully he can be back before the end of the season and try and push us over the line.
Yeah, it really is a shame. It really is a shame because, again, I've been critical of him, and I had some people point that out when I was talking about it on social media. But that's the thing. You'll have players that dip in and out of form. You'll have players that don't impress you and players that do. And I think Collins, since probably October time, has really stepped up when we've needed him to. And, you can't say anything more than that because we were really struggling. We were really struggling for goals. We had a really poor run of form, but he was one of the players that stepped up, scored the goals. I mean, the 2 goals against Barnsley, yes, one was from a yard, one was a penalty, but that was a massive win. And if he doesn't score those 2 goals, we don't win that game. And who knows where we'd be without it. So, yeah, hopefully he's back before the end of the season. It'd be sad if that's the last we see of him in a Derby shirt. But if it is, it's a really good way for him to go out on a 3-0 win as well. So I'm sure he won't be as upset about that. But before we talk about the potential new signing, Jamie, we need to talk about that midfield too that we've just mentioned there. Now, I think, we talked about Collins coming out of the team. I think it might be time for the midfield too to come out of the team as well. I think we've seen it this season that it's not worked. We've had Bird and Hurahan there. We've now had Bird and Adams, who are both, quite athletic, quite fit, and they struggled to maintain a foothold in the game. Does this really give the message to Paul Warne that we really need 3 in there?
Yeah, I think so. But the golden question is, what 3 do you have in there? Do you go with the 3 that we had away at Charlton? Do you bring in Thompson for a bit more energy? I'm not too sure what you do really. I think Adams has to start. Bird has to start. But one player I was really impressed with is Corey Smith. And another player that's had critics, but actually that goal and just the energy and just the experience off the bench to be able to come on and just kind of get us going and turn us over was fantastic. So if it was me and I went with a 3, I think it would be Smith, Bird and Adams at Barnsley. Jake, are you still there?
No.
We may have lost Jake. We may have lost Jake.
Absolutely. I mean, Vic, looking at that second half, when Corey Smith came on, the whole team lifted.
Oh, and now Vic's gone. This is going to be a two-person.
Jamie, we've just got to manage this. Jamie, we've just got to manage this. We've got to get through this next couple of minutes because I think just like Derby, we're just falling on the wayside, aren't we?
Well, we'll let him reset his Wi-Fi and then we'll talk about it. But Vic, I guess coming to you, let's talk about that midfield. Obviously, there I've said that potentially I'd go with 3. What do you think we need to do going forward? Is it a 2? Is it a 3 in your mind?
Definitely not a 2. I think if we want to get the best out of this team, we need the 3. Even when we played 3-4-3 up until about 60 minutes, the back line looked disjointed, especially out of possession. Players were falling over each other's feet at the back 3/back 5. They didn't know where they were meant to be. So when we changed it to a 3 in the middle, it gave more balance to the team. There was more onus on sort of the wing backs to do their job properly. Wilson had a fantastic game once he moved into that wing back position. And we looked more settled in the midfield 3. We controlled the game better. The game management was better. And it sort of just freed up so obviously Adam slipped back into his CDM role, and it just freed up Smith and Bird to do what they do best, which is create space and create opportunities. So yeah, I think we've got to go with the midfield 3 to sort of progress and really just see the season out now, because I think with the midfield 2 we lose the battle in that midfield. We need that extra body there just to be that safety net for us, especially when we're defending.
Yeah. And Callum, we've got to talk defensively. I think one of our best home games defensively, some really great performances, but one of the better performances and the man of the match, the skipper for the day, was Sonny Bradley. How good was he?
Absolutely immense. I think the Bradley that we all wanted at the start of the season, the one that we hoped started that Wigan game, first game of the season, and it obviously just didn't go the way. He was so composed, considering what he's been like all season. There was one where it came over the top. It actually went over Nelson's head, and he kind of Cruyff turned the touch back past the striker who was putting him under pressure, and I was like, I just looked at the bloke next to me and went, "What the hell was that?" I think it really, really is just a confidence player. I don't know what Luton fans obviously saw when he was there, but he just seems that once confidence is in him, he's absolutely unbelievable, and it's nothing that he does that's like out the ordinary for a centre half, but it just does the simple things really, really well. Puts his head on it, gets it out when he needs to get it out, getting it short of Wildsmith and starting the play off every single time. So no, I think that for all fans, I think we were applauding him to have a game like this, to get him going and have a run in the team. And I'm glad that it's paid off, because I think a lot of people wrote him off probably midway through Christmas. And I think, obviously we've got one of the guys on here who, as it hasn't turned up tonight, who isn't his best fan, but I think even Adam would be really proud of him.
Yeah, exactly. And even Adam took to social media to give Bradley some plaudits. So yeah, I guess if Adam's saying he's had a good game, he must have had a splendid game. Vic, how important will, I suppose, a player, but then also a leader and a character like Sonny Bradley be in the situation we're in at the moment?
He'll be massive. I think obviously he's got promotion behind him already. I think from the League One to Championship and Championship to Premier League. So that experience is going to be key, especially if we're looking to leave Horan out of the midfield 3. We do need that backup leader there. So Sonny Bradley's the captain at Luton. He's done it before, and he'll hopefully spur us on to keep us going. But I've always thought having a centre back as a captain works better for the team. Just my personal opinion. I just think because they can see the game in front of them. They can dictate everything, dictate play, dictate players in certain positions. So Sonny Bradley's experience is going to be key. And I think the best thing about it is with his form, is I think he's had a run of games. And I think that's the massive difference. Having a run of games in the side, letting him get his feet, letting him find himself in this team, has given him that confidence to now put in a performance like he did yesterday. And he was superb yesterday. I've seen people talk about, do we go to a back 2 or remain with a back 3 and keep Sonny in there? I think it's hard to drop him after a performance like that. And I think it's hard to drop either Cashin or Nelson as well. So long may their good form continue. But I'm really happy that Sonny Bradley's form's picking up, and he's probably the leader that we need to see us over the line.
Yeah, it's difficult because I think defensively we look so good at the moment, and we've got so many players that can kind of play along that back five or a four. Callum, if the game against Barnsley was tomorrow and we lined up with a four, what two centre backs would you go with?
Oh God, I was just about to jump in when Vic said 2 or 3. I would stick with a 3 because I don't think you can drop the other 2. But if I had to, I think I would still stick with Cashin and Nelson. I think they've built up such a partnership, and I think upsetting the apple cart will probably bring us down. But I think that Bradley has deserved such a run in the team. And I think a 3 just gives him that little bit of confidence that he's got either side of him to really well assured centre halves. If I think he's in a 2, you've got just the one guy next to you. If you put a foot wrong, you could be obviously in on goal. So I think the 3 suits him. In a 2, I think the legs have probably not got it in them. So I think having the 3 is probably the way to go if you're going to have Bradley in the squad.
Yeah, and we'll go to YouTube. There's someone called Jake Barker on the YouTube comment. So he still wants to be involved. He said, got to bring Wilson in for Nyambe if we're playing a 5, and well said, keep the back 3 as it is. A couple of other comments. Dwayne Doyle said, Sonny Bradley was absolutely outstanding. Corey Smith changed the game, allowed to free up Max Bird. Then we're on top from then. Big 3 points. Jim Johnson has said, I know why Adam's not on tonight. Bradley a stormer. Yeah, he's gone missing after that performance.
Got to agree with that. Got to agree with that.
In all fairness. Vic, coming to you. Another player we've got to talk about, Joe Wildsmith. He's back in between the sticks. Yesterday, another fantastic performance. You know, I see Derby fans say that he's the best goalkeeper in the league. I agree. I think he's fantastic. What happens now when Vickers comes back fit? Is it Wildsmith's shirt to lose? Is it a case that they're going to go back to Vickers? And how do you think that will kind of affect where we are at the moment? We need kind of consistency. We need stability, don't we?
Yeah, definitely. And I think with Wildsmith, I think we're seeing the best of him now. He had that break where Vickers stepped in, and I think I said on a previous pod that Vickers will probably get 3 games before Wildsmith's back in. I think on the second game he was already in. I think Wildsmith needed a break to just sort of reassure himself and get back to his usual best, work on a few things that maybe he was doing wrong earlier on in the season. And now we've got him to his personal best now. And other than that one clanger he made in that first half, which Sonny Bradley cleared off the line, he made some great saves later on in the game. So we're starting to see Wildsmith back at his best. I think the defence feels more comfortable with him in goal as well, in terms of how he commands his area. I think if Vickers comes back fit, I think he's going to have to be the number 2, and it's literally Wildsmith to lose now. But it's nice to have the competition between the 2 goalkeepers, because I think if you want to be a promotion-winning side, you've got to have 2 goalkeepers that can push each other all the way. But I think it's Wildsmith to lose now, and hopefully his good form can continue as we push over the line.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess we've talked about that whole back line. So I'll talk about the whole of the back 6, as you were. Thought Elder had a good game again, solid at left wing back. But right wing back is potentially where I think we need to address Callum. Nyambe obviously played out there. We've got Joe Ward, we've got Kane Wilson, so we've got options. But personally, I just don't see Nyambe as a right wing back. What's your thoughts?
No, I'm with you. I think he's either a right back in a 4 or he's a centre half in a 3. I don't think you can put him as a right wing back. He just it's the attacking element. At defending, he's obviously outstanding, 1v1 especially. But I think when you go forwards, you need a threat, that overlapping threat. Elder struggles with it himself, to be fair. So if you've got both wing backs struggling, then you're not really going to get far. So I think if you're going to have Nyambe, you got to put him in a back 4 or a right centre back of a 3. As soon as Wilson went there, different gravy. I think he was absolutely outstanding. It just gave a little bit of help for Mendes-Lang that we know he can provide, puts us well up the pitch because it just pins back the fullbacks and the wingers because obviously they played a 4-4-2. It just meant the wingers just were never in our half that whole last 30 minutes because they're obviously having to track not only Mendes-Lang, but you've got to track then the right wing back. So yeah, I think Nyambe is such a great player that I think he needs to be in the squads at least It's just where you fit him in. And obviously, if we're sticking with the three, unless one of the centre halves that currently are there are injured, I don't think he'll go there. And I just don't think that right wing back suits him.
Yeah, and I guess this is a nice issue to have, Vic. We're talking about competition for places, and at times this season we haven't been able to do that. We've almost been, right, we've got to play that player here, or maybe we've got to play a certain player out of position. This can only be good for the run-in when we've got players competing with each other. Obviously, at the top end of the pitch, we'll get that sorted, I'm sure. But having competition, especially on that back line and in the middle, that's a really good situation to have, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think the key to promotion is having squad depth. I think now that we've actually got that with the players that we've got in the building, it's nice to see, especially with like the situation with Nyambe. Obviously, Wilson is my preferred right wing back, but then you could always change the formation if we're protecting the lead and maybe go to a back four, put Nyambe on, because defensively he's going to be solid. Or like Callum's already said, you can put him in across the back three as well. It's always good to have different options so we can have different systems to play in as well, depending on what game and what opposition we're playing against. So it's nice to have that competition all across the field. But the squad depth is key to sort of get us promoted out of this league. So it's nice to see that we've actually got round pegs in round holes this season. And that's partly due to the success of what we're doing at the minute. So that's why we're second.
Yeah, and I think we've got to give some credit to Paul Warne here. We've been critical previously. Yeah. We've had that episode that's our most viewed episode on YouTube. I'll have everyone know. Yeah, exactly. But I think, yes, he probably would have got criticised yesterday, but he seems to be getting his substitutions right. He seems to be getting his selections right. And whilst we're winning games and whilst we're staying in those top positions, he's got to get it. He's got to get the plaudits. He's obviously got now decisions to make, but this is where he kind of comes alive. And listening to Richie Barker in terms of, we know we need 2 points per game and we've been here so many times before. They're now in a position that they've found themselves in a few times in their career previously, Callum. What do you think is the stance for us moving forward then? Do you think it's to still grow into games? Do you still think it's to weigh up opposition? What are you kind of thinking in that regard?
Yeah, it's a tough one because we seem so much of a threat as a counter-attacking team. Obviously at home, that just seems to put not only the fans on edge, because then you're sinking in, you're letting everyone invite, and then you're trying to catch them on the break. And we're so good at it, but obviously it works so well away, but not so far at home. So I think that we've just got to put whatever obviously lineup they go with, whatever squads they decide to go with, and obviously personnel. We've got to trust it because, as you say, out of everyone in the squad, players, coaching staff, there's no better people than who we've got at this point in the season, at this point in time, where we are in the table to get us over the line. If you had said when David Clowes had made that appointment, who would you rather have, Liam Rosenior, an unproven manager, or Paul Warne, the serial League One promotion winner? At this point in the season, I'd rather have the guys who'd been there and done it, got the T-shirt. So we've got to give him credit where credit's due, especially when we're very quick to jump on him as a fan base and give him criticism, which some points in the season this season he's rightfully deserved, and the players. But when it's doing well as it is, got to give him credit.
Yeah, and I guess the difference yesterday, Vic, was Jake mentioned at the top of the show, 50 odd minutes. I think the South Stand in previous home games, dead silent, bit of frustration. Yesterday, they're loud, they're proud, they're cheering. And I do believe in certain situations in years gone by, they have sucked that ball into that net. And I think that's what happened yesterday. How important is that South Stand and the whole stadium in kind of adding that 12th man and getting us over the line? You sit in the South Stand, so you'll know it quite well. How important is it?
I think it's absolutely key. I mean, if you look back at the season we got relegated, some of the games that we'd won was purely for the fact that the atmosphere was that good in the stadium. Like, I remember when we beat Fulham 2-1. Fulham were flying. They were ready to have their own promotion party that night. We still beat them 2-1 despite the situation we're in. The fans play a key part in how this team moves forward. I mean, if the players can hear that the fans are buying into what they're doing, the players will believe it themselves. And before you know it, you've got a cohesive unit where the manager, the fans, and the players are all singing off the same hymn sheet. If that continues, then that'll definitely get us over the line. We've got our role to play, just as well as the 11 lads on the pitch, the 7 subs, and Paul Warne and his backroom stuff. So we've got to do our bit to make sure that we can do everything to get us over the line. They'll do their bit, but let's keep this atmosphere going. Like I said earlier on in the show, it's cup finals now. That's the mentality we've got to sort of approach it. So if we can build that atmosphere, do our bit for the lads, you never know how many points that'll win come end of the season. And if we've got ambitions of going up automatically or even winning the league at this point, which is still a possibility, then we've got to give it our all, and then the lads will give it their all as well. And that's all we can. That's all we want as fans, is for the players to give 110%. And if we reflect that in the stands, hopefully it'll reflect on the pitch as well.
Yeah, I think for me, it felt like we'd thrown it back 5 years. You've got Ram getting involved in the celebration. You've got the bounce at the end of the game. You know, I think actually maybe now we've kind of revitalised that South Stand, and we can get bouncing and get loud and proud until the end of the season. And we know how important it is. Callum, I think we've kind of touched on the fact of bringing in a new striker, and we've obviously seen the name. We've obviously heard the interview with Paul Warne. He wears his heart on his sleeve. He'll tell you, his deepest secrets if you ask him, I think. But Dwight Gayle has been mentioned. Obviously a free agent after leaving Stoke. What's your initial thoughts on that link? It seems to be gathering pace.
Yeah, it seems to be just inevitable. I mean, by the sounds of it, paperwork was in by Friday. He even picked his shirt number from some reports I've heard. So it was there or thereabouts. So it looks like it's going to be completed over the next day or so. And I think looking at the free agent lists that you've got in strikers, I mean, we put it in the group chat. We were on a scroll through at some of the names and stuff like that. I think for someone he's stayed locally, he's obviously been in Stoke over the last couple of seasons, and so he doesn't have to relocate too far, which again, outside of football, is quite big at this point when you just want to come in for the last few. I don't know what you put him on a 6th month and then look at the following season and see what he does. Obviously, the biggest thing is his fitness. Where is he at? I think we had a natter in the group chat and gone, he's probably going to be at least a week or two behind on everyone's match fitness. So do you stick him on the bench and just build him up, or do you stick him up top and see what happens? I don't know. There's no point bringing him in and then just obviously killing him. So I think let's put him on the bench. Obviously, he's still got Waghorn to come back. He's still got Washington. So I think him and as a striker, we've seen what he can do in the Championship, let alone League One. He can put him in there, obviously between the sticks. He'll put it in the net.
Yeah, exactly. He's a goal scorer, isn't he? And that's what he's spent his career doing is scoring goals. Obviously, we've got to wait for the EFL approval. We know there's another couple of teams, but I mean, maybe he looks at it and thinks that he can come in and cement down a spot for the next 6 months, which if he is fit and if he's finding the back of the net and contributing, I think he'll definitely be in there. Vic, we spoke in the chat and you kind of said that you'd spoken to some Stoke fans and some people that have had him at the club previously. What's your thoughts on that particular signing if it comes to fruition?
See, I'm quite excited at the prospect of Gayle. I know he's 34, but I'm thinking to myself, if we can sort of revitalise him and I think maybe the Paul one's really good at it. He's putting his arm around a player and just making them believe that they are the best player in the world. If he can do a little bit of that with Dwight Gayle, he could get that extra 5 or 6, maybe 7 goals that we need in important games to sort of just get us to 3 points and just push us further and further higher up the table. So I'm quite excited by the signing. Dwight Gayle offers something different to what we've already got with the strikers at the club. I think with Waghorn, he's quite a hold-up play. He'll run down the channel, say with Washington. Collins was a bit of a hold-up play, Merchant, whereas we know with Dwight Gayle, he'll play on the shoulder of the last man. It offers a different dynamic to the attacking impetus that we've got. So it's an exciting signing. I'm surprised he's available on a free. I know given his age and stuff, but the quality is always there. Like they always say, form is temporary, class is permanent. So I reckon that's the same sort of application with Gayle. Hopefully he can get in and get I'm stuttering my words today. Hopefully he can come in and hit the ground running, and then obviously if he can win us a few points along the way, that'd be brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. I agree, and I think if we can get it done, it shows that we've acted fast. That's the most important
Yeah.
thing. I think a lot of fans were worried that potentially Warren would be thinking, well, we've got Waghorn, we've got Washington kind of coming back. They're both going to be on the grass in the next week or so. But to be able to go out there and also be backed by David Klaus to go and get that done as well, it just shows the intent this season to bounce back. But ultimately, if we were in maybe mid-table, we probably wouldn't be doing that. So it's all because we're in the race. That's it. Well, let's talk about Barnsley. It's Barnsley away next Saturday, Callum. What's your thoughts? It's two top teams, two big teams in this division. It's a hard place to go. We know on previous seasons that we've struggled there. They seem to kind of raise their game when they play Derby and find the back of the net. What's your personal opinion ahead of that one?
Barnsley's always been a weird one. It's a weird team that can either turn up and put you to bed, or as when they came to us, we can do that. It's just on the day you have no idea which team's going to turn up. They're such a bogey team that's got good quality in it. That's obviously still up there in the playoffs. Obviously, had a little bit of a stutter over the last couple of weeks, but which team in the next top six haven't had a stutter throughout the season? So are we the game that they obviously try and bounce back? I hope not. I don't think they will. I think we're in a good reign of form. I think the lads, especially after Saturday, getting a last-minute winner against a playoff rival, as Stevenage are, I think that we're going to be in a good confidence. And away from home, we're class at the moment. So I think that we can only go there with confidence and just see what we can do. I think it'll be a smash and grab. If anything, I think we'll do a 1-0 win. I don't think it'll be quite an Exeter display, but I think a 1-0 win will do me.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is a massive game, and just looking at the table, people may have not seen it yesterday, but we're second on 66 points, and then Barnsley are fourth on 60 points with a game in hand. So they're looking at this, Vic, as a home fixture, as a chance to get back in with a shout of the top two, because, like we've said, form at the top end of the table. We've seen how Peterborough have fallen away, and we were all looking at that at the start of January, thinking that they're definitely up. So Barnsley win this game, and suddenly they're in a bit of form and they've got a bit of momentum. What's your thoughts on the game?
For me, it's a promotion 6-pointer. I think whoever wins this, I'll be honest, I think if we win this and put a statement out there, I think we'll go up. Just because I think Barnsley's been that team where we always seem to struggle when we go to Oakwell. But if we can nullify Devante Cole, if we can sort of nullify their wingers and close that space in the midfield, keep it tight like we have been the last few weeks, and just hit them on the counter, well, we could easily sneak away with a 1-0 win, 2-1. I'd even take a draw at this point, to be honest. I think even a point against the promotion rival still keeps us ahead of them. I think the important thing is to not lose at Oakwell. So obviously I think we'll go there with full confidence. I think we'll go there for the win. But a point's not a bad result there either. But I think, truth be told, if I'm honest, I think we'll nick it 1-0. I think we're going to nullify them, and we're just going to hit them on the counter, and we're going to keep charging towards the top, the first place.
Yeah, agreed. Jim Johnson on YouTube says we'll beat Barnsley 3-1. Gayle hat-trick. I'm not sure if he'll be ready by then, Jim. But I like the thinking. DB0800 has said Sibley has suffered in every position bar keeper. Now the striker role is up. He is snubbed, disgraced. Let him go or play. Well, I think it was natural that we played Barkhays in there just from his form. I suppose just quickly, Callum, does Sibley start against Barnsley up front?
No. Although he scored a last-minute goal, I think that if you're going to stick with the two that were fit, I think it's got Barkhays and Mendes Lang. I think it's just the pace, getting in behind, the quick counter-attacking play. Unless Sibley can go in 3 with obviously Bird and Adams maybe as a 10, like just sits behind them. That's probably the only way I'd do it. I think that him as a striker was just probably a last-ditch call of getting him up there at the pitch and trying to do something different against Stevenage that we're struggling to break it down. So I think rather than starting it, I think that's it.
I think just to add to that though, with Sibley, I think he's better as an impact sub. So I think if we start him, I think we'll just end up losing the attacking impetus because we know Sibley can dribble with the ball and get into space, but the problem is he's not really a focal point. I think if we're going to go toe-to-toe with Barnsley, I think we're better off starting off Barkhausen and Mendes-Lang. Bring Sibley on with about 10 minutes to go. You never know, he might get the 1-0 win. He might get the important goal at Oakwell. So keep him as a sub for now. But again, as I said earlier, it's squad depth. We've got the options on the bench. So I'm more than happy to sort of leave him on the bench and bring him on should we need a goal come the last 10-15 minutes or so.
Yeah, and Jake on YouTube says put Sibley up top next game with Nathaniel Mendes-Lang. Start the team that finished. It's our strongest. Use Barkey's pace late on. Now, just to let everybody know, we have obviously comments on YouTube, but we also have our private chat as well. And Jake is in that. Jake is pretty much messaging us on every means known to man, in all fairness. So, Jake, if you are about, come back in. He's back. There he is.
Hey!
I'm back.
Finally.
Was this just a weird kind of what do they call it? I can't remember what they call it. Some plan, contingency plan. Like it's like
yeah.
disaster planning. You were just wondering what happened if you died.
But, I know now. That's good news.
Jake, let's get your prediction.
Sorry, mate. I was very pleased when I restarted my computer, came back, and the episode was still going. So that was great.
Yeah.
Prediction-wise, I think it's going to be a really tough one. I think it's going to be a draw. I'm going to say 1-1. I think, like I said on the comment then, I hope we play the same team that finished the game on Saturday. I think we'll have the impact down the wings. We'll be able to use Wilson to get forward. We'll need those outlets. And it's going to be really, really tough because Barnsley are a really good side. They're only just behind us. So we need to make the most of this opportunity. And as Vic said, it's definitely a promotion 6-pointer. So I'm going to say, it's a 6-pointer. I think it's going to be 1-1. I think they'll score early on. I think we'll grab one back. Who's going to score? Let's say Louis Sibley. Carry on his good form.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go with 1-1 as well. I think that's probably going to be the result. And actually, if you offered that to me now, I'd definitely take it. And I'll agree. I think Sibley's going to go on a bit of a purple patch and get some goals. And then Dwight Gale's going to be sitting on the bench thinking he should be over the road playing paddle rather than being in the Pride Park Stadium. But no, it's been great. It's been a bit of an issue. Jake, do you want to do the honours in saying goodbye? It feels right that you're here.
We're in the wrong order. This just feels wrong. As well. Cal, you're on the left, mate. You've got to do it. You've got to start it.
Oh God, I'm not ready for this. I don't even know if I can carry on the mantle of. It's been such a car crash. No, it's been a great episode. I think that we, as a fan base, need to get behind the lads going into the back end of the season, going into a big game. If you obviously did enjoy, we are live on YouTube every single Sunday. We will have a preview going out for Barnsley. I don't know who's doing that. Anyone know who's doing that?
It's
Jake?
Me.
Hey,
it's me. And
we've also Wi-Fi.
I know. We've also got an episode coming out talking about Dwight Gayle when he obviously signs. I mean, if the EFL don't get in the way, that would be nice. But we'll have another one of those. I know you guys enjoyed the last one, so we've got another one of them. Sorry, Cal, carry on.
Yeah, no, it's just I think we've got episodes coming out every single week, every single day. It seems got a real conveyor belt. So we will love you and leave you, and it's a goodbye from me.
Please subscribe and like if you did enjoy. Rate us 5 stars on Spotify as well. Thank you very much. Goodbye from me.
If you work in Wi-Fi or connection to internet, please get in touch. It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.
Vic, where's your monologue?
Long may continue. Let's go.
Up the Rams talk. Thank you very much, everyone. Jamie, you can sign us off as you hosted this. Go on.
Yeah, but I'm not signed in, so you're going to have to end the stream, just so we know that.
Say bye. Say bye so I can press it.
Goodbye. We'll see you soon. Up the Rams.
Bye.